Hello again, boys and girls. So we're back for another week, and we're going to do some more work on the old Metro here because I want to get this done. I am doing some work on the Nova in the background. I don't got a video really made for that yet, because there's a few things I'm trying to get done before I actually make the video on that. But we're getting there. So I just wanted the motor fully mounted into the car because it was a lot of stuff that was kind of unique to my situation. I'm just getting it done. And there was no good way to film it because, well, people were helping me that one of them at least wasn't going to want to be on camera. So that was kind of get it done. But yeah. All right. This week we're going to work on the Metro. I had the Ruckus out riding it today because it is an amazing day here in Ohio. I don't know if we're in spring or if we're in false spring, but either way, I'm all for it right now. And this week on the Metro, we are going to get the brakes working. Then I don't remember where I put it at the moment, but somewhere around here, over there on the Nova, we have our jet kit, so we can get that done. Hopefully by the end of this video, this thing is rideable, and we can start tearing it kind of back apart again real quick to start getting the look I want for it done. So this is going to be the video of just getting all the performance stuff finished, getting it all mocked up, done and ready to ride, and then finish this back. Now you are getting kind of a sneak peek, I guess, of what's going to happen with it as far as looks go, and that is I swapped out the rear panels because I did not want to cut up these rear panels because they match the front of the bike. They're already the correct color, and I didn't want to cut any of this up on this panel. So I have these as the leftovers from doing the Metruck. That thing, I have zero intention of ever putting it back to stock. And even if I did, half the colors underneath there doesn't match this anymore anyway, so it's whatever. But as you can see, I've got it roughed in. I want to round these edges a little bit yet, but I trimmed out all that to make room for the tire. I made as much room as I can here. Although I have discovered with me and my chunkiness, I either need a stiffer spring or I've got a 120/90 tire setting up there. It's just a touch shorter. I may need to swap to it to clear the bottom of the battery tray because right now, if I hit a bump, I'm going to rub. If I sit here and I push it back and forth and I bounce, I rub. So that's going to need taken care of one way or another. I thought about just hardtailing it to fix that problem, but I'm still kind of trying to avoid that. So yeah, but we're going to have the exhaust off in this video anyway, so when we do, I'm probably going to pull that tire off. Not to mention this tire is not exactly great anyway. It's got 2 plugs in it right here. So I was planning on pull that tire off anyway, but I got a brand new 130 up there. I was going to put that on. We're just going to put the 120 on instead. So that may slow it down just a touch, but not enough to worry about. I need the clearance more than I need the speed. Did I just? Yeah, I just made that statement. Okay, yeah. No, I mean, it's true. I do. I don't like that, though. But yeah. So, but I got all this cleared. I would like to maybe eventually make partial filler panel for this, but I'm not too worried about it. So, all right, enough yapping. Let's get the covers off and start digging in to do these brake lines because they're the big things that need done. We're going to convert it from basically Metro brakes, which is if you pull the brake hard enough for the front, it will start engaging the back, to Ruckus lines that don't do that at all. That is, unless the one brake line I have is long enough to go from that system to the rear. If it is, then we might not swap away from that just because I do kind of like that setup. And there's a 50-50 chance the wife might hop on this or some of my buddies are going to hop on this. And that is a better brake setup for people that aren't me to ride with. So I would have loved to have kept it on here, but I didn't have a brake cable to make it work. So although I think the brake cable that's on there now may have been able to do that, or the one I got laying here on the ground that's for that being stretched that I didn't end up needing could have probably done it. I am debating on pulling the brake cable out of my Ruckus, putting that one on, because I'm debating on getting slightly taller handlebars for the Ruckus, which would mean I would need the longer brake cable on it instead. That sounds like a lot of extra effort. So we're going to see what we can figure out once we get dug into everything. First steps, though, we got to get all the plastics off. So let's try doing one of the YouTube tricks and try to do the snap. Damn it. Damn it. That one never works for me. Let's try this one. All right. Hey, see, that one always works for me. It's just, yeah, done. You know? But now that we're in this far, get around the Ruckus here. The first thing we're going to do before we just go ahead and try to rip all the brakes out of it and just start fresh is we're going to get into this little box right here. Inside of that box is this. This is basically, it's like kind of like their ABS or, you know, ABS system, something along those lines. This box connects the front and rear brakes together. This right here is for the front brake. So we could, in theory, disconnect this part of the system from it, leave this alone, and it would work just fine. What this does is if you start squeezing too much of either brake, it will start applying the other brake. If I remember right, if you squeeze this one so far, it will start engaging the front brake, but if you pull the front brake, it will hard enough, it will definitely start engaging both. The Ruckus, not the Ruckus, but the Navi uses a similar setup to this. It works fairly well, but our problem is I don't believe this cable right here, this is the rear cable, it's not long enough on the Metro. I don't know if that new cable we have is long enough to do that either. But we're going to find out. I figure either way, I've got to take at least that cable out. So we're going to kind of mock our shorter of the two cables kind of in place and see if we can reach it up to that box. If we can, then that's what we're going to do. If not, well, then I got the long boy that goes from the handle all the way down to the back. And I know that will reach because it's made for a stretched Ruckus. But I didn't need it because, well, we put such low handlebars on the Ruckus that all the extra length came from that. So, like I said, I was debating on throwing that in the Ruckus and then using the brake cable from the Ruckus for this. That way we have extra slack within the Ruckus. But I just don't feel like fighting with that right now. That means taking two bikes apart for one project versus right now, this is one bike for one project. So, want to get that done. Let's, enough yapping, let's get tore into this. Well, hope for the easy route was just kind of dashed. I have that set at the absolute longest it can be. And even if I go under the tank, which would give me just a hair bit more slack, I'm still falling about an inch short of the bottom of that box, which means there's no way that's going to work because that's set with this not even pulling on that yet. So, yeah, so that's just kind of out of the question. So I think what we're going to do is I am going to go ahead and do the right thing. I'm going to go ahead and pull the... you need to calm down, sir. I'm going to go ahead and pull the cable out of my ruck to put in the Metro and put the longer cable in the ruck because, well, I would like to get possibly slightly taller handlebars for the ruck. And if I do that, I'm going to need the longer brake cable on it. So I'm going to do it the right way, even though it involves tearing apart two bikes instead of one, and just kind of get it right. I would rather do it now than need to do it later and have to tear two bikes apart later. It's dumb, but it is what it is. And that's not to say I'm not happy with the handlebars that are on the Ruckus. They're just, I don't know how to describe it. I think it's where I got my feet at. I think if my feet were out here, maybe I would be slightly more happy with it. With my feet being back there and being hunched over on it as much as I am now, it's not uncomfortable, it's just not comfortable. Like, it was much more comfortable before. So I think that could be part of it. I do think eventually I want to make a set of front pegs for all 3 bikes. So, because riding or testing out and riding the wife's Mad Dog a little bit, I have found I do like the Ford forks as well, or the Ford pegs as well, instead of just back here, especially with these handlebars. So that's actually kind of what inspired the handlebar I went with on the Ruckus, is riding that. So yeah, so we're going to try to go with a similar setup. I went with a similar setup, but I think I'm going to get a set to come up a little farther now that are maybe more similar to the stock Metro style. And then eventually I think I want to take the set that's on the Ruck and put on this Metro and put a whole new everything as far as speedo and stuff goes on this bike. Kind of just keep modifying this one heavily. Next door neighbor, he might be moving to Florida. I'm a little bummed about that. He's a good guy. Yeah, all right, enough yapping. I'm gonna start tearing this one apart. That hurts to even say. I've had that bike apart so much lately, but after I get this done, I think we needed to go for a ride on both so you guys get a good review. Oh. All right, well, a guy changed his mind again because, well, he really just doesn't want to tear his Ruckus apart, even if it is the smart thing to do. I don't want to. So I've got the brake cable run partly through. We've got to get in here. We still got to get this box off because I think I'm going to try to not do the front brake and be lazy, because eventually I would like to make this setup work. I just got to figure out a brake line long enough. So we're going to take the rear portion out of the box completely and then just run this back behind the box and up to the brake. That's going to be the simplest way to handle it, the best way to handle it. Now, I do have the short line that I could have put in for the front brake. There, oh, excuse me. No reason why I can't do that other than the fact that I just don't want to. So we're going to do it this way because it's kind of just the simpler way to do it. I don't necessarily need to delete that one section because it's, even though it's got that brake in the cable, that brake is still directly connected together. That one section is only on a little like flap going to the rear, so it's not necessary that even be connected. We can get away with doing it the way we're going to because, well, we're going to get away with it. Like I said, eventually I want to make that setup work on here. I really want that setup on this bike in particular. I really wanted to keep it on there, and then I just got way too lazy to figure out what brake cable I needed, and I made this work the way it works, which is more than good enough. I want to say this also has just a pair of Ruckus brake cables on it. Matter of fact, you know what? I think that's got actually a longer brake cable on it, doesn't it? Is that a factory? No, I don't think that's got a factory rear cable on it either. Maybe I need to do some looking. Maybe I have... Do I have a Ruckus brake cable laying around? Is that a possibility? That might be a possibility. Hang on, let me look. I'm a dummy. Right there, Ruckus brake cable running all the way through that bike. Voila! So I just spent like $25 on brake cable I didn't even need, because it's right there. And I could maybe get away with doing what I want to do using that instead of... When you have spare parts, guys, always look at your spare parts before you just go ordering stuff. Because you might find yourself in that situation where you have exactly what you need, literally sitting on a shelf being useless when you could have had it for free right there. Right there. You know, I've been debating on pulling this whole thing apart and just kind of setting it as on the shelf as just parts. And this may have just been more reason to do that. All right, time to pull this apart. All right, so let that be a lesson, guys. If you have a parts stash and you're in the middle of a project, check your parts stash. Because if it's something that you had at one time, you probably still have it, obviously. Unless you very specifically remember using it on another project. Like, in my head, I thought I used it on that bike, but then I looked at it like, wait a minute, that's got a gold color too. I very clearly did not use that on that bike. So, where did it go? Well, I answered the question that was still on the bike. So I've been waiting for, I had waited for that brake line to show up for like a week now, because it kind of kept getting hopped around. To actually swap the front, not the rear, because I thought I was going to need to swap the front too, because that's what I did on this one, when clearly, now I wonder. I almost wonder if I need to, we're going to put the Ruckus one on this, but I almost wonder if I swap that longer one onto the Ruckus, and then if I could use the one from the Ruckus on here and have that brake bias thing on both bikes again. That's something we're probably going to look at, because I'd really like to have that brake bias back on this one. I kind of like the way it makes the brakes feel a little bit better. This is already turning into a video, guys. Holy crap. All right, let's get that brake line installed and see if we can maybe use this to just jump into that box instead. And like that, with a little bit of work, we have functioning brakes again. Brake, brake. That one I actually need tightened up a little bit. I did manage to go through the junction box like I wanted, because given the fact that I know for sure this one's not going to be just me riding it, this will be one that some of my friends bum. My wife might try to ride. If I can possibly get my oldest on a scooter, he will probably try riding it as well. There's a little bit more sympathy with these brakes, because if you start pulling too much front brake, it's going to engage the back brake. And I kind of want that on this bike. So, because that way, if they're on it and they're not used to using both brakes, or if they're used to more of a motorcycle style where what is a back brake on here is a clutch on one of them, it's a little bit more forgiving until they're used to it. So yeah, that's kind of the whole point for keeping that. Now, I ended up using that Ruckus brake line. There is a loop under here underneath the gas tank. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there to eat up some of the extra brake line to get it to the back wheel. So that's done. The next thing I'm probably going to end up doing off camera is when we get around to do the exhaust, I'm going to do the tire off camera, because you guys have already seen it's a massive fight. I am going to take and walk you guys through all the carburetor stuff on camera though. We'll get that done so we can start getting everything back on. And then before this video is done, I want to throw the plastics back on it, throw the seat back on it, and I want to be able to ride it before the end of this video, even though we are going to be pulling it right back apart, because I want to do some vinyl wrapping on it. So, you know, there's that. Because I want to wrap some of the white in the front, I want to wrap all the white in the middle, and we are going to be painting the rear plastics. Hopefully what ends up being a fairly similar blue, so it matches the front and I don't have to wrap everything, because I do really like the blue, but I couldn't find a dead match. But I'm hoping, considering the blue will be on the very front of the bike and then the very back sides, that maybe it will blend in enough that it won't be super noticeable that it's not the same blue. So, because I didn't want to cut these panels. This is another one of those bikes where if I want the option to return it pretty much basically back to stock, I have it. And in order to have that option, I can't cut those panels. So these panels though, I didn't care about, so we can cut the hell out of them. Okay, with that being said, we need to throw both of these actually back in the garage for right now, because we got to go grab a small child from a bus stop, and then me and her are going to hop in the truck, run out of town for a minute, and go grab a drive shaft for the Nova, and hopefully come back and hop right back to work on this scooter. All right, so we got our intake off. We're just going to do this kind of quick and dirty because we've already been in this carb and cleaned it up. We're just going to get in it, swap the jets again, and hope that this carb wants to work right then, because so far it has not been a very promising carb. But I'm hoping now that we have the correct jets with the intake and everything, maybe things will turn around a bit. At least that's the hope. So, and we got a new intake as well, or a new intake tube, I should say. So I'm hoping this also makes a difference, because the old one was not really in that great a shape, and it didn't seem like it really wanted to tighten down all that well. So we're going to start with the jets and go from there. So we're going to change, this time we're changing both the idle jet and the main jet, going with the sizes that the Ruck Shop recommends when they install their intake. Then go potty. And that should get us to where we need to be even with this intake. Hang on, guys. Can you not get inside? Hang on, I gotta let the little one inside. All right, she's in to go potty now. So, but like I was saying, this carb did seem like after I cleaned it, it wanted to work better, and it was actually getting too much air with this intake, and you could get it to run and it would half idle, but if you start revving it up, it would run out of gas. So that tells me that hopefully we're doing the right thing, we're going in the right direction, and by swapping these jets, we should get to where we want to be. I hope. If not, we got another carburetor up on the shelf. We'll pull these jets back out of this carburetor, put them in a different carburetor, and try again. So, but, because I know the other carburetor revs clean, as long as everything is stock. So the seal still looks okay. I should probably put the cover back on, right? All right. There's that. So, and then while we're at it, I've got the air filter we need for the side of this, and a new intake tube. So, because the old one was loose on the intake side, and I could not get it to tighten up or loosen up, ironically enough. The bolt was seized, and cutting into it, I had to cut the intake pipe. So I just went ahead and did the smart thing, and I had already ordered one of these, kind of foreseeing that issue to a degree, I guess you could say. Shoot, I got that on the wrong side. There we go. That is fully seated. We'll get that tightened up to the intake side, or the carb side. There's that done. Hopefully that doesn't want to interfere with that. I don't think it will. Now, I think this is actually a little smaller internal diameter than the one you'd order from the Ruck Shop. Let's see here. I may need... I feel like I need that aimed Nope, that ain't gonna work, so it's gotta go this way. All right, get that pushed on as far as we can. Have that to where we can't do anything. That's good. Get that up here where we can do something with it. Get that shoved back on as far as we can. Get the clamp tightened down. Okay, then we just need to get this back on and tighten down, which I think I need to go grab. Come on. Just slid off with no problem. There we go. I believe I need to go grab a wrench to tighten that down with. Hang on, guys. Here we go. Our carb should be all ready to go. All set up. I went ahead and flipped that to the other side, so now I know it's not going to interfere with that. Oh, baby. Well, I got to put it together before we can ride it, baby. Yeah. I got someone out here with me, and she's wanting to go for a ride on this because she got to ride it once back from the bus stop when I first got it, when I got it running right. And she's been wanting to go for a ride again ever since. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to get the carburetor on it, and then we're going to try it without me swapping the tire just to kind of feel things out and see how it's running. To make her happy, we'll go around the block, and then I will report back on how it does going around the block. Good news, bad news. Good news is, starts up. Revs very well. Bad news is, I'm chunky enough that the tire rubs on the bottom side of the battery tray like I was afraid it was going to do if I tried to ride it down the road. So, before we can really go for a ride, we've got to swap it from the 130 to the 120 and kind of hope that that's going to solve the problem. I thought about robbing the wheel off the back of the Metruk for the moment because it's got a 120 on it. But then I remembered that's a 120 on a Metro wheel, which actually made that slightly taller than a 130 on a Ruckus wheel. So that would only make our problem worse. That's the opposite of what we need right now. We need this to work with the 120, which means before we go any farther, we're going to cut the exhaust and get it completely off and out of the way so we can then get to the tire. And then we'll try to maybe do the exhaust on the bike because I really don't feel like taking it all off tonight. So, yeah. Or maybe to go around the block, we'll just run open header and see just exactly how loud that is because I'm kind of curious. So, but because I want to save as much of that as I can because unlike the other ones where we got them angled up like they are there, this one I want to keep it more parallel like this one is the hope. So we're going to see just exactly how much of some of the stock mount and stuff we can save and make it work. So yeah, let's get that done. So you can tell it's dark now. The tire is done and the 120 still rubs. So it's looking like I've either got to find a slightly longer shock so it won't bottom out, or I just got to give up and hardtail it. Not really liking the idea of hardtailing it because I know it's going to ride kind of rough, but if that's what I got to do, that's what I got to do. I do got stuff laying around to do it. I just got to figure out how exactly tall I need to make it to hardtail it. So yeah, because I know I can go lower than it sits right now, obviously, but not by much. I thought the problem was it was rubbing the intake, but that is not the case. Or well, it is rubbing it, but that wasn't what was causing the clearance issues I was having. So it is still hitting the bottom of the battery tray, and I while I could probably modify the bottom of the battery tray to take care of the situation, I don't want the next thing it's going to hit to be the battery. So we are where we are. So yeah, I gotta figure out what I'm doing about that, then we'll come back. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like I'm finishing this tonight, so this video is gonna be longer than I hoped, but we still gotta do the exhaust, and we gotta figure out how to possibly hardtail it. So wanna say hi to Grandpa?
Hi.
So this one is by far fighting me more than the other ones have, but this is also probably the most complicated I've tried to be about one too. If I was to just you're silly. If I was to just stretch it, the problem would go away. But I'm not trying to do a crazy stretch. I want to just do that. That's the look I want right there, where you just got that little bit of tire sticking out the back. And I like it once I'm sitting on it, it's low. I really like the way it looks. I thought about if I could just figure out a way to maybe limit how much lower that shock will let it go, that would solve the problem too. Or if I could just stiffen that shock, but neither one seemed to be a viable, easy option. So here we are. Now, sensing that this was going to be a problem, I did start making me some stuff to hard mount everything with. Not quite the way I would have wanted to do it. I would have liked to have unscrewed that from everything and do it, but it was not working. So I just cut it. Now all I gotta do is mount that there. This slides in here. Voila, hardtail. This is basically, I think, the shock at full extension, if I remember correctly, or close to it anyway. So what I'm probably going to do is maybe weld this in together, chuck it on the bike setting like this, and see how low that has the rear and see how much I can come down. Because if I can cut another inch off of this and lower it down, I do want the bike to look low when it's done. Regardless of whether it's low because I've got the spring to work and that's just where it sets, or low because I've hard mounted it with that. Either way, I want the back to set where I want the back to set. I don't want it to be jacked way up. I want it to be about that far from rubbing. So that's just where I want to be. So that's going to be our next step, I think. I don't know if that's going to be tonight. This may wait till my next 4 set off to do some more work to it. But we'll see. So I was hoping to get it done to ride it to work this week, but that's definitely not happening. Which is not like I don't have other options to ride. So I'm not exactly hurt. Or another cool car to drive. I love good weather. Finally get the toys out. But I think for tonight, this is where we're calling it. So I can go and get cleaned up before the wife and the oldest one get home. And it's starting to get chilly, isn't it, baby?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should probably get ready to go inside, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we're at. So, all right. When you guys come back, we will start sorting this out. All right, we're back for another day. And well, a guy decided today that it was time to put the camera down and just get some work done. So I hardtailed the rear, mounted all the plastics back up, made sure the tune on the carburetor is okay. I'm still having some idling issues, but it does seem to be running okay. When you give it throttle, it takes off just fine. I will say this does seem like it wants to take off a little slower than the others. So I'm still questioning the carburetor. It just doesn't seem to be as snappy as the other ones are, at least not on takeoff. And that being said, it actually has the shortest rear tire out of the 3, and they all have the same rear gear. So, and they all have the same muffler. This one has a different intake and jet kit than those ones do, but they're the same size jets. So they should effectively be the same. As you can see, my air filter is kind of like stuffed at the moment. So that could be restricting some of the airflow and causing some of the issues too, maybe. But I don't think that's the case. I already cut a little bit off of the, see if I can get you guys up and in here. I'd already cut a little bit off of it. There you guys can see that hardtail mount. It ain't pretty, but it works. I don't see any cracking or anything on it, so we're good. Mounted the tail light, got everything functioning there. Had to put an LED flasher in it, which I wasn't prepared for. But luckily, I was able to use just a generic flasher from the auto parts store with a couple clips and make it work. Everything is working. Seems to be running at least somewhat decent. That's going to idle way up. Smoking a little bit, which is why I think it's still running a bit rich. See if the idle ones come down, but hold the brake. And there we go. Idle starts to come back down. I idled it up a little bit because I was having issues while me and the wife, ironically enough, she finally got out and took the Ice Bear for a ride, and we got it registered. We'll talk about that in a second. But we went for a ride on the pair of them together. Me being unsure on them both, that was probably not the best idea. That was actually having no real idling problems. This was having all the idling problems. So, but like right now it's idling fine. Very responsive. Although, like I said, it seems like it's just not quite as responsive as the other two, which could be that homemade air intake. Oh, excuse me, guys. So yeah, so that could still be part of it. But as far as this thing goes mechanically, at this point we are done. This is a fully functioning riding scooter again. Very, very happy with how it's turned out. Now the next thing is going to be to make it look like it goes together. So we're probably going to do some wrap to it, and I have paint. We're going to paint these to hopefully match the front. We may rob the floorboard off of that one because it's got a brown floorboard. So we might put the brown floorboard on here, the brown seat, and then figure out something about the handlebar grips. But I like the look of it. If I could set it down, I would. It looks really good setting low because it still sets with the same stance it would have had stock, but the back is lowered. But that taller tire sets it back up. So it's a great combo. It looks really good. And surprisingly enough, the hardtail does not ride bad. I was expecting it was going to be harsh and vibrate and just make the bike ride weird, but it doesn't. It doesn't. It's probably essentially because once me and my chubbiness sets on these two, they kind of set the exact same way. The shocks are just kind of bottomed out. So this being hardtailed, it just kind of rides like it's bottomed out. And frankly, I'm fine with that. It works well for me on the other ones. It'll work fine on this one. I'm not exactly digging the fact that my front and rear wheels don't match, but we'll cross that bridge a little later. I may go ahead and pull that tire off of there and mount it on the stock wheel and then throw the stock wheel back on. But the stock wheel is narrower, so I don't know. We'll cross that bridge next video. Anyway, yeah, next video, I want to get the rear painted to match. I want to put some vinyl wrap on it just to kind of change up the look a little bit more. I'm going to try to live with the wheels not matching, at least design wise completely, and just paint them. because I believe even if I swap to the stock rear, okay, the stock rear does have bigger openings, I guess. So swapping to the stock rear would make a bit of a difference, but my problem is if I want to stick with the 120 and I switch to the stock rear, I might run into clearance issues now with the rear, because I've only got about that much gap between the top of the tire and the bottom of the battery box. And I really don't want to risk making that worse. I got it as low as I can while being comfortable with how low it is. So, yeah. Hey, you want to hold this thing down off the kickstand so I can show like how low it is? Like pull it forward and it should. Yeah, see, there we go. See, it's still setting about how it would have stopped, but that engine is tucked way up in there more than it was. So, and you can tell it when you go to put it back on the center stand, because it fights now. It does not like going back up on it because the center stand is now at a wonky angle for it, because it would have rocked back farther on it before. But I venture to say the rear end's at least 2 inches lower than it would have been stock, if not more. But yeah, we rode around. It seemed like it rode good. And she was actually very surprised that I shouldn't say she was. I was very surprised how well she did riding this today. Outside of a few instances where I told you, come on, we got to speed up, there's cars behind us. She did pretty good. And this is now fully legal. I managed to finally get it titled, which took not a small amount of effort, but it's done. And she got a giggle because while we were at the title, or at the BMV, and we were getting tags, her Chinese scooter has an MSG tag. So
funny.
She pointed that out and mentally broke the guy at the DMV for a solid, what, 2 minutes at least? Yeah. Like, he couldn't type, he couldn't think on what he was doing because he was so caught up in the joke. But yeah, I would try to go for a ride right now. I don't think that's going to end well. I feel like if I try to go for a ride, it's, huh? Yeah. I don't know. Let's be brave. Let's try it. And then we're going to try to make a quick zip around the block and see how fast we can go, because I have not tried to do a top speed run on it yet. If I can hit 35, 40, I'll be happy. Or at least 40 right now, I'll be happy. I think I've only had it to 30 because I was with you earlier. All right, I'll be back. Let's try to not die and not get wet. Way we go! All right. We're already at 20, 25. Once it gets going, it picks up pretty good. 30. And this turnover 35 sketches me on the other ones. Really not too bad. So let's try going down this way. See if we can get a top speed. This is where we top out the other one all the time. I don't think we're gonna do it. I think the headwind's gonna keep me slow. I might go down to the gas station or something, turn around and come back. You do see the top out better the other direction. I am sure this has got more than 35 in it, not just so game really well. That's it. gonna lose my hat. The taxi cab was right up my ass. And she died. Alright, let's mount our phone somewhere where it's not gonna fall out. Alright. Let's try this again. I will say on this thing, I have a feeling a headwind's going to be a problem because I set up higher on this than I do any of the rest of them. So that in itself is going to make things harder. I think the oil slower till the belt breaks in too. I didn't think about that. We put the new belt in it today as well. See, we hit 35 before the railroad track. We hit 35 before the railroad track, so we might hit 40 after. There's 35. We're going to hit 40. I don't know if we'll break 40, but we're going to hit it. And the wind doesn't slow us down. I cannot tuck on this line, it's too big. Ah, so close to 40. Alright. Alright, let's get back to the house before it does start cutting loose raining. That was close enough to 40 for me to be happy for right now. I know it'll do it, it's just a matter of it being a little bit better of a day for it because it's windy today. And I'm not going to be able to ride fast in the wind, I'm just too big. Well, there you have it, boys and girls. It did. I'm going to call that 40, even though it said like 39 on the speedo, just because I know if you take the factor of the wind out, I should be able to hit 40, 45 on this thing. So, which is about what I thought it would be. I set up higher on this than I do the other ones, and I know the biggest reason behind why I'm so fast on the Metruk is because I'm setting behind those fairings, not above them. So, and because if you can see from here, kind of, the seating position has me almost level with the hook there, and I'm a good 4 to 5 inches below the hook on the Metruk. So that in itself makes a massive difference. But I think that's where we're going to call it for this video. I do promise there is a Nova video somewhat in the works. I'm getting some stuff figured out. That's just, I'm taking my time on it, and I'm not necessarily recording everything that I should be because of the fact that I need to turn some wrenches on it and just get it done. So I know she's dirty. I know. She's working on scrubbing off all the
tar
nastiness that's sitting on top of it. I think you're actually scrubbing off some of that primer too.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, we can go back to the ugly color underneath. Yay. But anyway, I think that's it for this video. Next video on this will be the visual makeover of it, which I think is just going to be fun to do. I like changing up the way they look. So, till then, we'll see you guys next time. Go out, have some fun. See you later. Bye. Oh, yeah. Like, share, subscribe. Don't forget that. Right? Like, share, subscribe. As I point to the person that does not like, nor share, nor subscribe to my stuff.
I do. I usually comment and you ignore them. Because I have to be a smart.
Yeah, that's why I don't comment back. You don't feed the trolls. People.
Yes, I do. I'm married to you.
I hate you.
Hi, Branch.
Yeah, you're all kinds of funny.
I know.
You know what the best part is? I don't think anyone can hear you because I got the mic on and you don't. Don't feed the trolls. I got to. I'm married to it. Fuck you. All right. On that note, see you guys next time. Bye.